Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Technical Oversight Committee, sort of Ask Me Anything, the public session for this KubeCon. The Technical Oversight Committee is the group that sort of oversees all the technical aspects of the CNCF, overseeing the projects and various bits like that. With that, let's go for a round of intros. Karina, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Karina Angel, I'm chair of the TOC.
Hello everyone, my name is Katie Gamanji. I'm one of the TOCs and also a TOC representative on the TAB, which is the Technical Advisory Board. And I'm also working, do we say the companies? I'm working for Apple.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeremy Rickard. I'm also a TOC member. I am also a software engineer at Microsoft.
Hi, I'm Alex Kirkup, TUC member, and I work with Akamai.
Hi, I'm Ricardo, TOC member, also in the TAB, and an engineer at CERN.
Hi, my nickname is Dims. I work for NVIDIA, and I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fasila, TOC member, and I work at Ericsson.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Lin Sang. I'm the head of open source at Solo. I won't say I'm a TOC member because everybody here is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Wang. I'm the vice chair of TOC and also maintainer of multiple projects, and I work for Huawei.
Lifetime award. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, with that to kick us off, would you like to go a little bit more in depth on what the TOC is and sort of their responsibilities?
The TOC is the Technical Oversight Committee, so it's the technical governing body for all the projects within the CNCF. It also gives technical guidance, provides reviews. I've seen a lot of you in our meetings, so some of you, this is nothing new. However, so happy to see you here. I just wanted to start with that.
Cool.
Thanks. But I want to do a quick highlight. Crossplane graduated. I just want to say congratulations. All right. Dragonfly. Anybody here from Dragonfly? Okay. Any other projects that want to just give a shout out? Okay. Because you've been through the process, so you know that when you move to graduation or incubation within the CNCF, it's sometimes painful, rather lengthy process, but it's worth it for the entire ecosystem and hopefully for your projects as well. Oh, Metal Cube. Are you hiding? Yes. I should have led with Metal Cubed. Anyway, do you want to say anything else about what we do on the TOC? I know you and Dims have been some of the longest members on the TOC.
So, some of you might have seen all the efforts that we are doing at automation and things like that. But primarily, TOC is there for mentoring, coaching the projects, and trying to get some amount of standardization around like how we engage our end users and like how we support the contributors to our projects and how to build up and ramp up. And sustainability is definitely a topic that we talk about quite a bit and try to get people to think about it while we talk to them. So we do want folks to come and talk to us. So sometimes it's a pull, sometimes it's a push mechanism where half the time we end up firefighting, but we would rather make sure that people come and talk to us before there is a problem or when they're actually going through a crisis, sort of thing. So that's what we are here for, and I hope more projects are able to take advantage of us here, and we'll also try to figure out like how to support you by talking to the CNCF staff and the larger organizations, and try to get you the supports that you need for making sure that your project is healthy and is able to do you are able to do the work that you actually want to do.
I want to add to that. I think being in the cloud native community for so long and being part of the TOC, I've been very lucky to see the evolution of the landscape from the Technical Oversight Committee perspective. We have more than 220 projects now. It's a massive ecosystem, a landscape. And we started through easing the entry level for sandbox projects, and we had this massive boom of projects. And now one of the trends that we see within the TOC is doing more health assessment of these projects as well. So now it's like our priorities are slightly different, but it's also dictated by the community as well. It's based on the community feedback around projects, and we see, oh, we actually need to look at a project health more. We need to do perhaps archivals or provide more guidance for projects. So there is a lot of that interplay now compared to early days. There is also this approach towards within the TOC, moving from being kind of reactive to many things, as Dim said, firefighting. We're trying to automate, and we've been trying to do as much automation so we could be proactive as well. Because the TOC is not just about doing the evaluation or determining the evaluation for determining if the project is going to be part of the incubation, graduation, and so forth. We also want to do things like the tag reboot, things that look into the community and how the community interplays with the projects as well. So we don't want to be just like, oh, we do the evaluation and that's it. The TOC is a much bigger function than that. And automation helped us to have that proactiveness a bit more. And I just hope there's going to be more of that automation. And this is where I think the projects would definitely, it will be helpful from the maintainers and the projects to use this criteria to self-evaluate as well, rather than always waiting from the TOC feedback. That criteria is very self-explanatory, and we try to be as deterministic as possible. And we would like for the projects to also do most of this work, so it's easier for them to understand if they're at that level, but also easier for us to do the evaluation. And if we simplify this process and make this process faster, it will also help us to do more things around the community side of things. So the tags, the initiatives, all of the technical guidance. So yeah, I think there is so much more that this group can do.
Yeah, I would like to add that so during the DD, especially we would focus more on the as the reviewer to evaluate. So for projects, I would really highly recommend you maybe before the application, you can just review the according to the criteria among your own community, among your maintainers, try to figure out if you are really well prepared or not yet. I would like also to say that we are always open for discussion, so you can definitely reach out to any of the TOC member prior the application. We just don't want to coach the project during the evaluation. That's kind of separate focus.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. So, question: what are some of the? Oh, sorry. Were you raising?
I mean, I can wait. It's fine.
Okay.
I think we in the middle.
Yeah, I can. Here. This mic will go over there.
So I should get up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you so you can answer next.
All right. If anyone has questions, please queue up over here.
Oh, that's okay. I just stand on my tippy toes. It was mentioned, hi, I'm Natalie. I work at Cisco, part of Kubernetes as a maintainer. Talking about the ecosystem of projects, and the number has been mentioned a lot. Why is the high number a positive thing to you? In the sense of, we have definitely some projects in the ecosystem now that sometimes seem to be competing and doing sometimes similar things. Why is the high number positive or good?
It's fantastic to see, and don't want to really look at it as competing. So projects have, every project, every person has something to contribute to this massive ecosystem, right? So having a large number of projects, people are drawn into different areas of innovation, different use cases, and you may have projects that look similar, however, are doing different things. And you'll see over time that users will coalesce into a certain project area or another. Again, we've started to archive projects, and it's okay if people move from one project into another, and then we archive a project. At any time, that project can be revived, and they can apply for Sandbox again. But it allows for so many different ways to use cloud-native technology and innovate. I think the key is innovation.
I think also we have a strong bias against king-making. And if we were to say this project is okay, but this one is not, that leads more into we're making a choice for people. And I think we're giving an unfair advantage to other projects. I do think that there's an opportunity for projects to come together as well. Sandbox is a place for experimentation and growth, of kind of growing and figuring out what capabilities do we actually need to solve in the gaps in the ecosystem. And we have seen projects come together before and merge. I think that's a totally viable outcome. Archiving, also a totally viable outcome. As community builds around things, I think that's just a normal expected.
I can quickly add something too as a project maintainer. So I worked on Istio for a very long time as one of the founding members of the project. You guys probably all know in the broader ecosystem, there's multiple service mesh projects, right? So Istio started with Sidecar, and Linkerd started, I believe in the early days, they started without Sidecar and then adopted Sidecar. They thought Istio has the right architecture with Sidecar. And now recently Istio introduced Ambient, so we get rid of the Sidecar. And as a project, we kind of adore Linkerd, even though it's our competitor project, we adore the simplicity of the project. So we always, try to grasp, what is the best portion of the project and can we leverage some of that? So it's tremendously interesting as a maintainer to actually looking at what's out there in the ecosystem. How can we push the industry forward for just using service mesh as an example? So I do think it's quite neat as seeing different competing projects. It's like when you shop for a car, right? Maybe you prefer a Tesla, but maybe I prefer a BMW. It serves a different scenarios for your user cases.
I'll add one point. Of course, as Lynn told, it's more about innovation. It's not just in its competence, like competing with each other. It adds to the innovation. And at the same time, I feel like it adds to the sustainability part of it. Even if over a period of time, if one of the projects are like backing out or archived, we still have several other projects in the ecosystem who are giving the similar features where we can still try to see if some of them still solve our problems.
I think one of the things is the number of projects is partly an indicator of health, but also partly an indicator of where we are in the maturity cycle. In any given KubeCon, we had different hype cycles. One year it was service meshes, and the next year it was observability, and the next year it was serverless. And there's always something that's getting focus and investment, both in terms of the startups that are supporting it and other sponsoring organizations. And over time that matures. And what we're now seeing is where we're having lots of faster turnover of innovation in the sandbox projects. We're now starting to see some of the sandbox projects go down the archive route, and that's fine. Not all experiments will be successful, and ultimately the no kingmaker rule kind of means that we're leaving it up to the projects, the ecosystem, the consumers of those projects to actually decide which ones are going to be the ones that actually work and continue to be supported. But I would kind of also say that we are entering a new phase, right? As some of these projects are coming out of the hype cycle, and maybe they're not like, at the peak of, attention. We are now getting to the point where some of these projects are needing to be sustained, and how, we're having discussions certainly on how projects can be nurtured and maintained even when they're sort of coming out of that hype cycle. So, you know, I don't know if the rate of growth will sustain forever. It's kind of exciting for it to see that now, and certainly new areas like, you know, AI and security and platform engineering are driving a lot of new projects. So we will continue to see those hype cycles grow. But we'll also have to focus on the sustainability of the existing projects, which are now boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of discussion recently about memory safety. To what degree have you thought of maybe putting your thumb on the scale and trying to encourage projects to either use memory safe languages or maybe transition to memory safe languages in order to improve the level of security?
So for good or bad, we are Golang based ecosystem at this point. But there is pockets where they are looking at Rust for sure. So far, we, for example, we don't have like a really good Rust-based library for interacting with Kubernetes, for example, right? So that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything here. You know, there's a few things that came our way. For example, there was a Rust-based kubelet that ended up trying to do WASM stuff, but then that fell by the wayside. I don't know if you archived that project yet. So that was like a rewrite of kubelet using Rust. But then they ended up figuring out that there's too many things going on in kubelet that they can't replicate. And kubelet is always a moving target, so they can't keep up with the innovations that are happening in kubelet, and they can't give like a bug-to-bug compatible, you know, over a long period of time. So they said, okay, we'll just do WASM runtimes, and then after that, kind of like went away. So there have been some projects that came up saying, hey, we'll do some formal verification stuff as well. But it hasn't really caught on as much yet in our ecosystem. But yes, we should try to promote that whenever we can.
Yeah, to add to that, Lynn already talked about Istio ambient mesh. So whenever new things are coming up like that, of course, Rust is getting used, and ambient mesh has the eternal component, which is Rust-based. Want to add?
Yeah, as a project member who helped create Ambient, we actually started the zTunnel component with Envoy proxy, and we just find out it couldn't fit our purpose, so we have to rewrite it using Rust. You probably heard another new project called Agent Gateway. It's also written in Rust, so we do see a lot of momentum around Rust. In fact, Chris Aniszczyk actually gave a keynote at KCD Texas. He talked about Rustification of cloud native project, where he showed a graph of every year he sees more projects in cloud native ecosystem are actually being Rustified. So that's really exciting to see.
I think I want to approach this. This is like the technical perspective of how projects can use a particular language to do the development of their feature and functionalities. I also want to come in with maybe a core principle of the TOC, the no kings making, but also the TOC is in a function to provide guidance, but not necessarily to say what to use and what to do. This is at the level of the projects and the maintainers, because we will not maintain the project, it's up to them. So if we come and say you have to use this language, and they're like, well, we don't have the skills, but we're like the skills at the moment to do that, that project will just dissipate very quickly. So I think this also comes to some of the core principles and what we do as the TOC. So we can provide that guidance, but we cannot enforce that as well.
And just maybe a small call to action. TAG developer experience is developing different initiatives and small white papers to provide guidance on each of these different topics. So if you believe strongly enough in it, consider joining those TAG calls and maybe proposing an initiative.
Oh, I think we're.
So at the start of the talk, you mentioned pain points, some pain during graduation and incubation. I wonder if you can expand on what those pain points are and talk about how you distinguish between necessary pain, things maintainers have to do, and things that can be made better.
You want me to? I'll go with what we were talking about in the TOC. I mean, predictability is a problem, right? So people come into us and say, "Hey, I want to do a sandbox thing, or I want to go from one level to another level." So predictability is a big problem across the board. So people don't know what to expect, and we don't know what to expect from ourselves. So that is definitely something that we are working on. And we are exploring some automation stuff and using some AI to gather some of the things that we usually go hunt for by hand and things like that. So we are trying to reduce the toil that we need to gather the statistics and figure out who is active, who is not active, and what is the bus factor and those kinds of information. So that's definitely a chore that we need to do before. So we also have problems, for example, like finding the adopters, right? When we go for going for from sandbox to incubation or incubation to graduation, like finding the right set of people who are using the project. There is chaos there in terms of setting up the time and getting the right set of people to give us the feedback. Sometimes we end up going through the interview and then we realize that, okay, this is not a good feedback that we can actually use, sort of thing. So there is a bunch of those things. The necessary thing is mostly around coaching the projects. Going back to my coaching thing is making sure that they are paying attention to the right set of things. And typically what ends up happening is it's not like the project maintainers don't know about these problems. It's just that they can't prioritize the things that the end users need over whatever is coming from their own mind or from their employers and things like that. So then we have to shine the light and say, hey, yes, you might not have prioritized this as much, so you need to do it now, security or governance or anything like that. So those are necessary things where we hold up the project for good reasons and get them to work on it.
Adding to what Dims is saying is that expectations. Sometimes projects will come in and think maybe it's just a checkbox, right? A checklist. And we actually do a thorough due diligence, look at releases, release processes, roadmap, talking to the adopters. Is the project meeting the expectations of the adopters and vice versa? And going through all these discussions, and sometimes the feedback and coaching may not be taken. We get there positively, right? And so it goes back to the coaching. And then most projects are very receptive, and it does take a bit longer, and there's some disappointment involved at times because you want it to be done faster, right? But for the TOC, we really have to hold ourselves to a standard so that others have expectations when they're adopting your projects, that it's not just a checkbox.
We have time for one last question here. Sorry to, but.
No worries, I won't add. It doesn't matter. Last question. Hello, I'm Soko. I'm from South Korea. ETRI, Electronics and Telecommunications Research Institute, which is a national research institute in South Korea. And I work for a project called Cloud Barista for multi-cloud capabilities, and we have a plan to donate that project to CNCF Sandbox project. So I checked the application for the Sandbox application, the issue template. But I thought the issue template itself looks like for the decision, not for guidance or helping. So why don't we have add additional interface or issue template so that people who are looking for submit the CNCF sandbox project, and maybe before the sandbox project application, we can give some kind of draft application or help requested issue so that people, TOC or TAG, can help increase the maturity of the project they are looking for, the sandbox project. Maybe it can be a road to TOC or TAG, but maybe it would help to bring more open source project to our community. So it is kind of suggestion, not question. Thank you.
So for some of that, we've launched a new website, rebooted a website, contribute.cncf.io, and we're looking to add a lot more information there on like what makes a good CNCF project, things like have list out a bit more information about what sort of expected of sandbox projects and things like that going in. We're also working on having a bit more automation integrated into the sandbox application itself that will hopefully give a bit more guidance when you actually apply. I don't know how much that would help, but it might a bit.
I think the first point is what you've done for your project, which is to reach out. So either directly to one of the TOCs or go to a tag. The first step before Sandbox, it's usually to come to a tag and present the project, to also get a feeling of the community. Everyone knows, gives you feedback immediately. And then further on, if you need help, there's also people that will help you from the TOC and the tags on the contributor strategy part and the policies and standards that you should try to implement in your project to ensure that you grow in maturity and also get more end users, more people that are at ease at contributing to your project. I think one good entry point is just to reach out and do a presentation to one of the tags. It's always been a very good entry point. It also puts it recorded and gives the TOC also some reasoning when they have to make a decision.
Sure.
Okay, we have time. It's a quick comment. We're already at time.
Quick comment. I'm going to wrap this up as well. To all of Ricardo's points, like we have a lot of resources and we're doing a lot of renovations of how you can use the resources provided by the TOC. But this is where you can provide feedback to us. Okay, so my closing remark is do provide feedback to us if this is useful for you, because we see it from a perspective where it will make it easier for us to make those decisions, but it doesn't necessarily, it's easier for projects to go through that process. So if you have any kind of feedback and you say we need more guidance, or this is too much, or this is too little, or we didn't cover something, please reach out to us as well. We want this to make it work for the community, and you can reach out to us many ways. Most of our work, if not all of our work, is on the public repository. We have public meetings as well, so there are many ways to provide this feedback. Slack, mailing. Okay. Yes.
Ask@cncf.io. There's the maintainers circle Slack channel, maintainers -circle is where the projects team sits and watches the traffic, I should say. And they will answer any questions about applications also, and then ping us if we need to also provide some more clarification. So maintainers -circle.
Cool. Well, that's it. Thank you, everyone.